You're either on the bus or you're off the bus.
Welcome aboard. This is episode 18 of Ridin the Bus, the official Iowa Wild podcast, presented by Explore Minnesota, Ben Gislason, Joey Goldstein, and it is the off season. We have officially arrived. The 10th anniversary season for the Iowa Wild has come to a close. It actually feels like quite a long time ago now. After the season ends, we all have our dismounts. We all get done with really encapsulating the season from a business standpoint, from a hockey standpoint. I make sure that the players that I need to help get home. Mm-hmm. And so now we wanted to take some time to really talk about the year. Here we are, Joey, but first and foremost, the off season for you. Have you taken some time? Have you had a reprieve at all to get away from hockey for a little bit? Because as much as we all love this sport, once you get over the fact that the year is over, because none of us wanted it to end the way that it did, it is important that we all take some time away and collect our thoughts after that year, because we all put so much into it.
Yeah. Well, I mean, it's almost been almost 2 months to the day since we last did an episode, so this is exciting.
Yeah, correct.
We're going to get back into a rhythm here. I think the plan is 2 a month.
Yeah.
But we know we try not to make too many promises because we know how that has gone in the past.
Roughly 2 a month.
Yeah, so that's the hope, that's the goal, that's the plan. But yeah, once the season ended, obviously, like you said, it ended quicker than we had hoped, than we had wanted to. But yeah, I got some time. I think everybody had some time as an office. We shut down for a couple days just to really relax and decompress. We went up to Minnesota to see a playoff game, which was a lot of fun. I wouldn't say I've shut down from hockey altogether because I've just been watching playoff hockey. Although I will say this second round I have not watched a ton of.
Right there with you.
I know we've talked about that too, like offline, where it's that first round is just great. It's so exciting. So there's so much happening, and then it's very easy to just turn it off in round 2, but then you pick back up in round 3 and you watch all the way through. So that's kind of where I'm at right now, but it's a different kind of busy now. Like, it's not prepping for upcoming games and homestands and whatnot. Now we're in full preparation for the 23-24 season and what that's going to look like from top to bottom. I mean, we go through the whole budget process, which every organization in the country has to do, and building out promotions and theme nights, and eventually we'll get the schedule, so coming up with things around that, and the state fairs coming up. Today we were out volunteering at an elementary school, so we've got volunteer events throughout the summer, so there's no shortage of things happening. It's just, it's a different kind of busy.
For starters, our podcast is presented by Explore Minnesota. One of my favorite parts of every podcast that we record is Joey Goldstein delivering our read for our friends at Explore Minnesota. And before we really launch into, I guess, period 1 of this podcast will be, let's take not too much time, because we do have a great segment coming our fans' way with the captain, Dakota Mermis, and a neat segment. We've had Dakota on before, but if fans remember, he was one of our first guests we had on.
Yep.
He was in St. Louis at the time. We have since taken him out on the golf course. We got him nice and relaxed. We got him playing some golf. If you want to jump onto the YouTube side of this, you'll get to see Joey and I's terrible golf swings and Dakota's better golf swings.
I think it's my terrible golf swings. Ben and Dakota's pretty good golf swings, but you can be the judge.
Sure, yeah, I was going to say.
Leave us a comment. Let us know what you think. Tell me what I need to do to fix my game.
Boy, I clammed up in front of the camera golfing. But anyway, before we get into all of this, we did want to recap a little bit of the season, talk about, I think as I tweeted when the season ended, it was a hard ending to an otherwise fabulous year. And the further you get from that ending, the loss in overtime, 2 overtime losses in a best of 3 series.
Go figure, right?
Yeah.
The whole season with Rockford was like that. So.
But when you get away from that now, you start to see the forest through the trees, and you see how much great there was. But it's so hard when you're right in the moment. You just go, wow, that was a sour ending. But in any event, let's kick it off properly. We've already gone way off the rails with our intro that we both said, let's keep this short and sweet, and who knows how long into this we are now. But presented by Explore Minnesota, Joey Goldstein. Make me smile.
Yeah. Ben, you summer activity.
I do.
You like to fish, right?
I love to fish.
You like to fish.
Yes.
Well, you know what? Oftentimes, the size of the fish grows each time you tell the story, and the roller coaster gets a little taller. The starry night sky gets even starrier, and that's because the magic of Minnesota vacation moments is really hard to put into words, which you can attest to.
Yes.
The memories that become part fact, part feeling, but 100% real. Plan your dream vacation at Explore Minnesota. vacation.com. Where is, before we preface all the good that happened from this season, where's your favorite spot to vacation when you go up in Minnesota? Because obviously that's a home state for you, and I'm sure you've got some places you like to be. But if you had to pick one place to spend some time over the summer in Minnesota, where's that?
To stick with the theme of the read, fishing, I am a huge fan of Leech Lake in the Walker area. I'm unfortunately unable to make it. It's actually this weekend as we're recording this podcast is the Minnesota Fishing Opener. I cannot go, unfortunately, but I have spent many, many fishing openers for the walleye opener in Minnesota on Leech Lake, which is, for anybody familiar with Minnesota, they'll know it. It's a walleye factory. It's an incredible fishery. I would say Leech Lake is a great spot to go. My dad and I are actually planning a trip this summer up to Lake of the Woods as well, which I've never fished on, which even more so is a world-renowned walleye fishery. So those are two great spots that will surprise no fishermen and women who are listening to this podcast, because they're not sneaky spots. They're well-known, but they're well-deserved, the aplomb that I gave them, because they're great spots to go catch a walleye.
Good.
A lot of walleye, I should say.
Good stuff.
Yeah.
Well, let's get into it, right?
Yes.
Let's talk about, and maybe you think differently. I don't think we need to go through and like rehash games and moments. Obviously,
No.
The series against Rockford, it was great to make the playoffs. I thought the atmosphere here was electric. It's unfortunate we couldn't, have that run a little bit further, but only one team can win every year. That is what it is. But there was a lot of good from this season, both on the hockey side and on the business side, when we've got all kinds of stats and stuff to back that up.
Let's pause on the playoff games, though, which were two terrific, just terrific hockey games.
Playoff hockey at its finest.
I mean, if you didn't have a horse in that race, and you were like, for example, when I was watching the Carolina-New Jersey game the other night, that ended up being the final game of the series, it was an incredible hockey game.
Mm-hmm.
Watching that, you don't even care who wins. You're just watching it saying, I just hope something dramatic happens again or another scoring chance happens. If you were watching the Rockford-Iowa series, you would have thought the same thing, because they were fantastic games, tremendous games, drama-dripping games.
Mm-hmm.
They were a blast to call. They go the wrong way for Iowa in overtime both nights. But I wanted to pause on that because the home game, the Friday night home game, a playoff game in the first round, as you can attest to more than most, is terrifically difficult to market for. Mm-hmm. And this building was sensational. It was loud. It was engaged. The fans were into it. The pregame show, the build up to it, it was a remarkable night. And as much as we wanted to see another game to see what Sunday would have looked like, talk about how this organization was just thrilled by how Friday night went off of the ice and on the ice to some extent until that final puck went in. It was a wonderful night, and it was so much fun to be a part of, and our fans showed up in waves and in loud waves at that. Mm-hmm. I just can't say enough about the job that your team and the rest of the team upstairs did to make that night a night that I will never forget.
Yeah, I mean, it's like you said, those first round games are tough, and we were fortunate that we were fortunate that we ended up in that fourth position, because if not, we were going to be playing on a Wednesday, and it would have been even quicker of a turnaround. But it's, you're turning every stone. How can we get advertisements out there? How can we work with our media partners? And how can we sell tickets and make it fun and exciting and make it something that people have to be here? One of the big things we leaned on was this was only the second time we've made it in our team's history. But not only that, this Des Moines area as a whole is not, I don't want to throw shade or anything like that, but it's not an area where the teams have had a ton of playoff success. So
especially recently.
Yeah. So when you get in, it's a huge, huge deal. We wanted everybody to know. And I think we got it to a point where it was very hard to miss that there was playoff hockey happening here in Des Moines. So getting everybody here was great. And Dylan Thomas, our game ops manager, did a phenomenal job at piecing together that pregame show. And we wanted it to be a different feel from the regular season and give people chills when they were watching it. And I just remember watching the pregame videos as we were testing them out before the game with Marquise, and I know you had sent some notes too, and it was really cool. But seeing it in the building, everybody had their phones lit up, and people were screaming, people were yelling. And there was one moment, it was a surreal outer body experience where I turned around and Crash was out on the ice and he's waving the flag with a spotlight on him at center ice, and I'm in the home tunnel. I'm holding the team just an extra couple seconds as it's building, getting excited, and it was almost like, like the college football games when the guys are just like eager to get out of the tunnel. That's what it was like. I'm staring Joe Hicketts in the face, and he's waiting for me to just move my hands so they can go, and it was just shot out of a cannon. And the energy was great all night long, and it didn't stop till the last goal went in, and it was great. And it's stuff you hope that you can build on in the future.
Individually, let's shift to on the ice because this was a team, and it's funny, it almost dawned on me like, I don't know, a few days ago where I was like, man, this team didn't have Mitchell Chafee all year either. Like, especially a team that struggled so much at the end of the season to score goals. They're one of the best defensive teams. They're a top 10 defensive team. Goals against, shots against. They were in the top 10 in both of those spots. But they were also in the bottom 5 in scoring at the end of the year, even with some incredible scoring seasons. Sammy Walker, a rookie single-season scoring record, he shattered the number Justin Kloos had previously. You had Nick Patan have his best year in the history of his American League career. So you had a lot of scoring, but I really wonder what Mitchell Chafee would have done for this team, a guy who I easily thought could have scored 30, maybe even 40 goals. Should he have played a full American League season, which he might not have. He might have played some NHL games. But and then you had Jesper Wallstedt, who, boy, was it was what a unique experience to get to watch him. It was like a flower budding throughout the season.
True development. I mean, when he started, it was rough. It was an adjustment period, and then it just clicked. And we talked about it with him on the podcast, and it's kind of once he got comfortable here, but it clicked, and he was phenomenal. And he ended up starting both playoff games for us.
And playing excellently.
Yeah.
Especially that second game. He was great in Rockford, too, but that second game, there were some long stretches. I give Rockford credit. They played a great hockey game, and they had an answer for every push Iowa gave, including a 2-goal swing at the early going of the third period where it looked like Iowa was about ready to put an exclamation point on this one and get ready for Sunday. But earlier, before that third period, Rockford had a deluge of chances to put the series away.
Yep.
They could have gone up by 3-4 goals at times, and he came up with some just incredible stops, a few in rapid succession too, to keep that game alive. But he rattles off 8 wins in a row at one point. That's a record. 18 wins. That's a rookie record. Unseating Kaapo Kähkönen, who had such a great following, was such a beloved goaltender for the Iowa Wild, and deservedly so. And so he is someone, Sammy Walker, Damon Hunt, another guy whose growth over the year, and he missed a month due to mono. I would have shuddered to think about what we might have seen from him at the end of the season, and he was still very good at the end of the year had he not missed a month due to mono. But and I'm missing players too. I mean, this was a team that had immense development and had immense potential. Dealt with some tough injuries. Adam Beckman scores 24 goals this year, and it was so interesting because Beckman, who is such a shooter, right, and he still was, I think he was still in the top 10 in the league in shooting, despite missing almost a month towards the end of the year with an upper body injury that he accrued out in Palm Springs against Coachella Valley, but he shot less this year and scored more. So I mean that's a really interesting caveat.
It's a big development piece
to scoring, right? Because I mean last year I loved the line. I think Kevin Fallness, the radio host on KFan since day one up in Minnesota, when we saw him at the Prospect, he and I were doing the live stream together. He said I always like to give credit to him for this because he said Adam Beckman's never seen a shot he doesn't like, and that's so true. But this year, he started to do that more. He would look off shots and make a pass, or he would just look off shots and keep the puck. And then his numbers just skyrocket. I think it was 11 he had his first full season, 24 this year. So, I mean, the proof's in the pudding right there with what a season he had. So there were so many great individual performances. I'm really excited about Iowa's back end. I think the growth of Simon Johansson was remarkable. Early in the season, he looked a little lost at times. Understandably so.
Same thing with Jesper.
Yes,
you're getting used to it. It's different. Smaller ice sheet, it's different angles, especially as a defenseman. And I think one thing with defensemen, too, is they always take a little, obviously forwards are the quickest ones to progress, but defensemen and goalies take a little bit longer. And especially when you're coming and playing in North America for the first time.
And the spotlight's bigger on you there. When you make a mistake, when a forward makes a mistake, I mean, the exception of some D-zone stuff, when a forward makes a mistake, it usually just means you don't score. Or you turn the puck over. When a defenseman or a goalie makes a mistake, it's often in the back of your net.
Right.
So that's a much more glaring spotlight. But Johansson, I thought he was one of Iowa's top 3, top 4 defenseman by the end of the year, and the coaches were playing him too.
Mm-hmm.
So I was just him. Ryan O'Rourke had a great development year, and we're going to see some more defensemen next year coming in. I believe. Don't quote me on this, but I believe we could be seeing David Spacek coming in next season. We could be seeing a first-round pick in Carson Lambos coming in next season. So it could be a very young decor.
Yeah, but some high-end talent.
But incredible talent. So there's a lot to be excited about. But this season was such a season of success individually and as a team. It's a playoff year. They would have made playoffs even if this was 5-6 seasons ago and you didn't have the play-in round. And in fact, it might have actually boded well for them because they would have had a longer series to start with. Mm-hmm. Granted, it would have been against Texas, but the further I get from it, like I said the night it ended, the further you get from it, the more you start to see the little nuances of how great the year was. And also how exciting the future is. It's a little bit of an unknown future now. As fans well know, Tim Army, 5 seasons with us, no longer with us. He has not been renewed for his contract, so that will mean a different regime, a different look, and it'll be interesting to see what that means. For my money's worth, Tim always treated me extremely well, and I wish him and Nolan Yockman, as well as Nate DiCasimiro, they were a great crew, but that's hockey. That's how it works, and especially when you're not hired by a GM that takes over, that can happen at times. So Bill Guerin did not hire Tim Army, so maybe Bill wants his guy coming in. Again, I have absolutely zero idea for the reasons why that they moved on, but that's how it goes. So it's hard to see change. I know Tim was very beloved here, but on the other side of that coin, it's exciting because what does the future mean? What does the future hold? And the one thing that I also think about this organization is they are so and I've said it, the term I use, they defend culture fiercely. So whoever they bring in is going to be someone that holds that same candle to culture, and they want to make sure that it is really high. And the culture was already really good before this coaching change has happened, so they're only looking to make it better. So there's so much to look forward to for this franchise based off of what happened this season, and then moving ahead with what is an unknown future is just it's going to be really, really neat to see how this summer develops, because normally you've got the coaching staff already in locked in and you're waiting on free agency. Now, who knows when we're going to find out who our next head coach is, but that's something we're all looking forward to. Now, that's going to be the first domino to fall, and then that leads right into free agency. Yeah, and it's not just the head coach. You're looking at assistant coaches as well. And I think one thing on the business side we're looking forward to is and one thing that Tim was really good at was being an advocate for being out in the community. Anything you need, we will help. Anything, if you need my help, if you need help getting people to do things, like he was there to help, and he was always available if we needed him for anything. So I think that's also something that Bill and Mike are looking for, is somebody who's going to have that same that same drive to want to help and want to be a part and be within the fabric of this community. But then I've seen the conversations with Bill, and you're looking for someone who's going to really stick to the systems, and it's going to be very similar to what you see in Minnesota, and I would guarantee you it's, as they're going through their conversations, like Dean is probably very involved in these conversations too. So I'm excited to see who it is, and just once it's here, it's just one piece closer. Like, all right, hockey season's almost back. So I can't wait for that. Before we stretch away from on ice, because off ice we have some. Again, the staff upstairs, banner year, literally in every office, banner year. Did you have a favorite moment, game, goal, play? When I say that, what comes to mind? And there were a lot of them. And this team, they were the cardiac club at times. This team came out of the depths a lot, especially that stretch run for me. And that was almost that's almost too big of a moment to really try to encapsulate. But the run,
like that January run,
the January run was pretty special. But for me, the run to playoffs was just because every game felt like a playoff game, pretty much since March 1. It was like your stomach was on a roller coaster ride that whole 2-month stretch to end the season. The trip to Chicago, where the Wild did not play well for almost the entirety of the game, and then somehow Nick Swaney finds one off of a skate, and all of a sudden there's life, and then Sammy Walker scores, and that game, Tim Army said it. He said that was the game that got us in. Yes, they still had to go to Texas. They still had to take care of business there. They had to come home to play Milwaukee first. They didn't take care of business in that game, but that game in Chicago, and the team agreed, that felt like the game as you look back on it, hindsight 2020, and say that felt like the game where they got in. That goal from Walker in overtime, they stole one that they shouldn't have won, but that's hockey. And that trip home, I remember just being like, if we would have lost that game, I don't know. That would have been such a deflating game to lose, and it ended up being such a game where the wind came into our sails, and all of a sudden we were soaring our way into the playoffs. It was such a special night. That to me was the one that I think I'll remember most, even though there were so many better games that the Wild played this season.
Yeah, I mean that's definitely one that stands out to me. And I don't know if it's maybe just because it's more recency bias over anything else. One that always stands out to me is one from the very beginning of the year when we were in Rockford and we had that the cardiac comeback game. It was a big scrum in front of the net. I think Chafee
scored twice in the final 5 minutes of the game.
Yeah, that one stood out to me because that's when I remember we were sitting here and we were talking about that series, and it was like there was something we could tell that just in that moment there was something with this team. Like there was one of those intangible pieces. Like it's not like a no quit thing, but like this team had a piece that you knew that they could do something special. So that one stands out to me.
Even earlier than that, the opening Texas games where they came from behind and tied the game late on both occasions. They lost those games, but they had that all year. You're exactly right. That will to win late. They were never out of a game. Nothing seemed insurmountable to them, and they put together some just breathtaking comebacks and they didn't finish even some of those comebacks, but they had a lot of points they earned along the way that at times in those games felt like they weren't going to happen.
I actually, now that I think about it, I think about Jesper's goal was great.
I wasn't even thinking about that.
That was awesome.
Yeah,
that's one of my best moments.
Yeah,
but if there's the 2 games from the season that stand out to me, it's those 2 games we played here against Coachella. Those 2 games,
great call.
Those 2 games were the best I saw Iowa play all year long, bar none. They play like that throughout the season. We are lifting a cup in June. There's no doubt in my mind.
Well, look, as we record this today, Coachella Valley just went into Calgary, the best team in the American Hockey League, and won 6-3. I think they're playing again tonight before we're recording this before they play, but they got a legitimate shot.
Yeah, and they're a good team. They just play a different – that whole division, we talked about that before, they play a different style, but Coachella, Dan Bellasman's got them playing a certain kind of way, and they've got great goaltending. They got high-end scoring.
Great blue line.
They're a good team, and that was a good measuring stick for us. We could play with anybody in this league,
and they played with them again out. They lost those games, but I remember talking to the coaching staff after that trip where they went into San Diego and won both games. But they liked how that Iowa played against Coachella Valley more than they like how they played against San Diego, and they won both times. So they definitely could play with anybody, and they proved that. Great call on Coachella Valley. I agree. Though that series was fantastic. And at the time, that was the passing of the torch. Coachella Valley came in, I think they had won 11 or 12, or they had points in 11 or 12 in a row.
Stopped their streak.
Yep, and then we took it and did the same.
Yep.
So
that was
cool.
just a fun series. And it was physical, it was fast, it was exciting. Just everything about it was awesome. Yeah.
Off ice. We don't even have enough time to go through all the notes I'm looking at.
We'll go through them. We'll get through them quick.
Get to the highlights.
Yeah, we had a really good year off the ice on the business side of things. We did just so well on the revenue side. We had our 4th highest, attendance number in league history, 2nd highest individual tickets sold in team history outside of, the inaugural season, which is, there's always a lot of hype around the inaugural season. Yeah. So that's a huge number to have. We have our highest group revenue in team history. We increased our suite sales. Merchandise was up over 50%. Kelsey has done a phenomenal job with our merch. It's so
Stick
cool.
tap for Kelsey. Jeez,
we've seen some awesome stuff come out. It's our stuff's all over town, and only it's as time goes on, cooler and cooler items are coming into the store, and I know she's already prepping for the upcoming season, so that stuff's going to be great. A side note on the merch stuff too, we ended up shipping merch to. So this is one of my favorite stats.
Awesome. Yeah.
And what really kicked us off was that local artist design stuff, because a lot of that stuff got shipped out. But we expanded the Iowa Wild brand, including Iowa, to 28 different states, Canada, and the United Kingdom. So like, that's awesome. That's so cool. Because not everybody can say in the American Hockey League that you're shipping to half the country and overseas. So that's pretty cool. A lot of concessions were great. Sponsorship was great. Our media coverage was phenomenal. Alec did a great job. Crushed that number compared to last year.
Yep.
Social media, Jess Dunham did a great job. Our engagement was way up over last season. Our audience grew over last season. TikTok was something that blew up for us throughout the season. So if you're not following us on TikTok, go do that.
What's TikTok?
Yeah, you're gonna Ben tweets from a rock, and
Flip
then
phone.
Yeah, there our videos. I mean, Marquis been putting out stellar videos. The amount of people watching our videos and just the quality of our videos, that's gone up. Our email contacts have gone up. We had the highest single game revenue game in organization history. The night of the Russell Dickerson concert. So like.
In a snowstorm, by the way. It could have been higher. Could have been higher.
Should have been higher. Yeah. So like there were, I mean, I'm trying to see if there's anything else that I might be missing, but those are some pretty crazy. I mean, the merchandise number was a single season revenue number for us. I mean, we kind of just blew past anything that we were hoping to do. Everybody exceeded expectations. So there's a lot to be proud of upstairs, and I know I speak for everybody up there when, despite it ending earlier than we all wanted to, everybody's very, very happy with how this season went from a business perspective, because everybody did a phenomenal job, and it makes all those long hours, those nights, those weekends, the holidays, puts it all into perspective, makes everything worth it.
A phenomenal way to encapsulate the first 10 seasons of the Iowa Wild here in Des Moines, and it what a launching pad into the next 10. Year 10 was, as we look ahead to year 11 now. Before we get to Dakota, none of those numbers, none of the records on the ice is possible without the fan base. And just, I have to say thank you now. And we've thanked fans in numerous different ways since the season has ended. But since I know our fans listen to this podcast, just every season I've been here, this is my third, and one was weird shortened COVID year, but I'm continually blown away by the passion, by the engagement, by the hockey knowledge too of our fan base, and the kindness too. That it really is. It's such a Midwestern feel, which is I love that about our fan base. They're so engaged, they're so knowledgeable, but they outpour love towards us, and I hope that we reciprocate that in all of our different facets that we work in within this organization. It really was a year where I just walked away thinking, what a phenomenal fan base we have.
Yeah, they're great. I love, I know people, I've seen fans of the season. Then when you and Ben talking about when are you guys going to get back on the bus and start talking again? So Ben Brotherson, I know you're listening or watching. So here's your little shout out. But I love, hearing just there's so much excitement about the stuff that we do, and even this podcast, like I know Ben talks about it a lot, or I've Susan Appler is someone who comes up and loves it. Aside from my parents who obviously listen, but like our fans like hearing this stuff, and it's reassuring for us as we're putting this on. But
nice to not just be talking to yourself on
yeah. But no, it's I mean we did a lot of fun things this year. I think fans found it really exciting, and I like hearing feedback from everybody. I want to know what our fans like, what they don't like, so we can make things better, do different things. So, but yeah, the support's top notch. Whether we're winning, or points in 14 games, or whether we're on a skid like we were at one point in March, these people, they never once wavered.
Yeah.
And the support's always there, and it came out in full force for that Rockford game, and hopefully they come out in full force in October when we kick off the season, whenever that is.
come out in full force with some events this summer too. We'll get to that. Per usual, 2 months of no podcasting, so Joey and I have gone extremely long for our intro, but that our fans, I think, are used to that by this point.
We always do.
And they can always fast forward, just skip past it too if they want to, so it's all good. With that, we should go to the links. Dakota Mermis, the captain of the Iowa Wild, and he really dives deeper and gives us a lot more insight than you nor I can give about what it was like to be around this team this year, and what a great group of guys it was. So without any further ado, let's head out to Copper Creek Golf Course with myself, Joey Goldstein, and the Iowa Wild's captain, Dakota Mermis. On to period 2, and onto the golf course we go. We have our first recurring guest now, Joey Goldstein. We've been waiting to really usher in our first recurring guest, Ben Gislason, Joey Goldstein, and the Iowa Wild's captain from the previous season, Dakota Mermis. And Dakota, we figured no better way to encapsulate the 10th anniversary season than to sit down on the golf cart, also play some golf with the captain. This is really the official, maybe off-season endeavors of most hockey players. Here we are at Copper Creek Golf Course, a proud partner of the Iowa Wild as well. And thanks for coming out, Dakota. Although this is, of all the things we made you do this season, this is probably one of the easiest.
Yeah, this was the easiest to convince me. Yeah, absolutely. Get out on the golf course, play some golf, talk about hockey, have some fun.
Well, without any further ado, I think we're going to hit our opening balls here. Joey, what are your expectations for today? I know Dakota's talked up a big game. He said he's been playing a lot since the season's been done. 2 kids at home. He's got tons of time to go play golf.
My expectation, I was telling Alec before we got out here that I was just hoping not to lose many golf balls. So we might have to put a counter to see how many I do lose. I didn't bring many with me, so if I have to go and stop in the middle of the round to go to the clubhouse to get some more,
if that's the competition, then this will be a fun race.
Yeah.
How many balls each of us will lose?
Too?
I would plan on it. Yeah.
Okay, so we'll do a ball counter today.
We might have to.
Okay.
Yeah.
Who's got honors?
I think Dakota has to have honors, right?
I've never played here. I'm the guest.
I've never played here either, but you're our guest.
You've never played here?
No.
So Ben.
Okay, I guess it's me then. Okay.
You voiced the Iowa Wild.
The guy, running late, so I haven't taken a single swing. I haven't stretched or anything.
Yeah.
Okay.
That's why he was late, because he was at a different range.
Different range.
Working
on his
swing.
I'm a long way to the hole there.
Yeah.
Haven't done anything yet.
I'm a long way to the hole there. Oh, I think I pulled something.
Yeah.
Plenty of room over there.
Plenty of space. All right,
Good
good.
cart golf too.
Good.
God, I should have gone first. Just get it out of the way.
Well, will he go one swing, one lost ball?
Let's see.
There's lots of options around here. This is a tough starting
You're
hole.
putting
Flip.
just-
We're
just a
on
lot.
10.
Yeah.
Second
But
hardest hole in the course.
Technically,
it
this
said
is
on the,
one because they've
on the
flipped us here
scorecard.
today.
Which you put me in charge of the score, which I don't love because math is not my thing. But
Well, we all know it's not mine. Yep, that
right,
might
there's
be
one.
1 for 1.
Yeah, you might beat me, actually.
I might get lucky. It might bounce out.
Surprisingly, I didn't even hear much going into the woods.
Oh, I heard it. Yeah, I hit a
Okay.
tree. Yeah.
I think you actually might have hoped to hear some wood. If not, you're going to be in someone's yard back there.
Yeah. No, that
Are we
one's.
giving him a breakfast ball?
Yeah, I think we got. Yeah, we got to
Oh,
give him a breakfast.
All right.
Yeah, you see how he lingered?
Give him a
waiting for it?
chance to
He's kinda-
potentially lose a second ball on his second swing.
He was waiting for it, kind of lingered there at the tee box. Are they going to give it?
Listen, I don't need breakfast. I don't need any extra shots. We'll try it again.
Blame it on the microphone pack on your back. Your weight's off.
That's true.
Like
Yeah,
your weight displacement.
There's a wire coming right up under my arm, and it's.
Yeah, we do have wireless mics, so we did get lucky on
That's
this
a
one.
nice
We really gave you the worst of the microphones.
fine.
Understandably so.
We're all right here.
Just shovel crap at Joey. You're
Not
gonna
as
find
good.
that one.
Not as good.
You'll find that one.
Yeah.
Okay.
That's when you
Okay.
when you hit the ground, when
on
you
the way
swing,
through.
it doesn't help. The bright lights are on. I'm nervous.
You really swing him.
I heard Mitch Balmus is pretty good too.
Yeah, I've heard,
heard
that.
he's
have
really
not-
good.
I've not seen it live, but yeah, he may, from what it sounds like, be the best golfer on the team.
I think he's like a 2 or 3 handicap is what I
Yeah,
heard.
that's pretty good.
Can I blame it
So
on juice?
last time I checked.
I would take that.
You had a chance to really digest the year yet? I know life has been busy for you outside of hockey.
Yeah.
But
I would say, yeah, digest it in parts.
Yeah.
You know, obviously, like you said, it's been pretty busy from the time our season ended. It was, you know, not 4 or 5 days later that we welcomed our daughter Tatum into the world. So the last 2.5 weeks have been, have been crazy, obviously, with a 16-month, 17-month-old and a new baby, and then obviously kind of planning how to move our family back home to St. Louis. It's been crazy, but yeah, I've certainly digested, the good parts and the bad parts and everything in between a little bit. So it's been good.
Does it feel like more of a success the further you get from losing in the playoffs? Do you see the forest through the trees the deeper you get? I remember thinking when that night ended in overtime, both of those games were just tremendous hockey games, you end on the wrong side of it. Do you remember thinking like, man, like that sucked, but as you distance yourself, you look back and go, it really was a good year, a really good year?
Yeah, it is. I mean, you got to definitely, the end goal is always to win a championship at whatever level you're at. And, you certainly feel a lot of disappointment when that doesn't happen, but, then you think back that it's you and 31 other teams that are feeling that way. There's only one team that's going to reach their goal at the end of the year. So, you certainly pull a lot of good parts, as you look back and things start to settle in a little bit more. But obviously you want to learn how to go a little bit further, because the further you go, it's just not only from a professional standpoint, but just from the amount of fun that you can have playing in playoffs. It's just it's great. So you always try to figure out how to push that even further. You want to see a real show? Watch the putts on I got here.
Ooh.
I'm gonna have to.
I think Brooksy would have put it closer there, Merms. All right. Green's a little soggy today. Did rain all morning.
They were pretty fast on the. Did you find that over there?
Well, that green also, it's the most slanted, it's the most slanted putting green of all time. Yeah. It's a lot of meat on the bone.
I was gonna say, you might have been better off leaving it short like me.
I know.
All those are talking about my putting. Look at that.
Nice, easy swing. Plays the bend.
Good out there. Okay. It's the trick. Slow the swing down. That's what we're talking about. Slow the swing down.
Wow. Oh.
It's got water
Yeah, no,
all
you are
over
gonna
it.
beat me.
It's got water all over it.
It's two.
Oh.
It's two.
Maybe not.
It's two.
Did it go in the water? Do we know for sure?
It's two. It's two thus far, shooter. If you could go back and relive one game again from this season, what game would it be? Exactly as it played out.
Relive one game. It's hard to remember them all. They all have such unique points. I think just the important, just the level of importance that the game had in Chicago at the end of the year, the overtime winner. Sammy Walker scored, and just the way we tied it up late, and really it just felt like that was a must-win game at that time, and probably ended up being a must-win game through the end. I think that one I would relive just because of that adrenaline rush when Swain scores that tying goal, and then Sammy Walker, just the relief of that, pulling that one out in Chicago. Like I said, that swing of emotion is something that you love and hate all at the same time, and when it goes in your favor and that adrenaline rush at the end, I think I would do that one again.
I know you guys had an incredible amount of belief in the locker room.
Yeah.
But I remember during the broadcast in that game, I don't know if I had the belief going with about 5 minutes to go in that game. Isn't hockey funny how there's just nothing going?
It's
nothing
crazy.
going. And then all of a sudden, biggest win of the year.
That's what I mean. And just like, kind of the down that you're feeling through that, and like we were having trouble getting anything going. It really didn't feel like we were, close to scoring. And we aren't a team that felt like we got bounces in the way we did. And so it finally felt like, okay, the hockey gods have been paying attention to the work we've been doing and just everything, the way we've been preparing, that we got a bounce like that finally after how many it felt like goes against you throughout a season. That was a huge relief And then certainly, thank God we capitalized on that in overtime too to take advantage.
What do you think was the greatest anti-Iowa Wild hockey gods bounce? Like when you say like I can't believe this happened to us, what comes to mind?
Automatically, the overtime against Milwaukee shootout.
Yeah, me too.
You know, and you look back at, you know, my first season in Iowa, we essentially missed playoffs by 1 point. And I remember thinking at that time how crucial, like we deserved that point. We should have won that in the shootout. It was obviously a weird situation with how it was called. And so I think when we lost that point with what a streak we were on, you know, through that.
That's right. That was in the middle of the was it 14 games?
14 games, I believe. Yeah.
That was in the middle of that. You're right.
Yeah, and so it just was so deflating in that moment of like we deserved to keep this thing going, and with a 2-point win there, and you know, obviously we take the 1 point, but how important those 1 points are, as we saw again coming down the stretch. You know, so
that one point could have made the Texas series a little less stressful.
Yes, exactly. So how important those end up being. So that one, I would say, when I think back, immediately jumps out.
You obviously we did a lot this year, community-wise. What's the one initiative, or what's the one thing that we did that you would say you were the most proud of?
Yeah, I mean, that's hard to say just because you're so proud of them all in different aspects. You know, certainly when we get to host families at games, like that's just super rewarding to give kids and families an opportunity that they wouldn't have otherwise, and in a super all-inclusive type of thing that you obviously, you know, help out a lot with during the game, where, you know, they just get to go and have a fun time, and they get to be kids and, you know, have popcorn and soda and bang on the glass and like do whatever. So that's so rewarding that we were able to build off of from last year. But you know, that the Purple Leash project was something that was really, really fun, really, really rewarding, because it really tied so many things in for us. Obviously, being huge animal lovers, you know, it helps out in such a way for the animals, but also has a human element to it. So when we kind of discovered that, and then, you know, obviously got to start working with Purina and Red Rover, and you get to see like really kind of like the broad of like what an impact this makes in so many different areas, for kids, for women, for men, for animals. That was one that was super, super rewarding, and really just a lot of fun, you know, to work on, to get everything to come together. And you know, the ups and downs of like the sticks are here, they're not here.
I was going to say, I'm going to have to
to
tell that story, because we need to get that out there, because I love those really niche, strange minor league hockey stories, and that's one of them.
Yeah, like, for some reason this doesn't happen in the NHL, and I don't know why. They ship the same, they're ordered the same.
Same company.
Yeah, so I mean, like, as
different FedEx, right?
yeah, right.
There's a special NHL FedEx.
Yeah, so, you know, Warrior Hockey was awesome. They helped us, you know, kind of design this, you know, custom Purple Leash Project stick that we'd have the Purina logo or the Red Rover, you know, the Purple Leash Project logo on, that we could, you know, I could use during a game, something that's really unique, and then auction it off for, you know, to raise money and raise awareness. So we were all pumped up, and we were like, we're going to be able to, you know, get these produced pretty quickly, and like, they're going to be here. Like, are we going to be able to pull it off? And we're like, okay, yeah, they're going to be here. They've shipped, you know, 3 weeks in advance. Like, we're good to go.
You're laughing.
And yeah, and they were overnight shipping. And then the next thing you know, it's 2 weeks. It's like, okay, where are these sticks? And UPS is being kind of weird about it. And then we launched an investigation. We're going to try to find them. There's some bad weather. They were in Louisville. And you know, next thing you know, they're like, hey, we can't find these. So we're like, okay, we got to get these sticks reordered, and we'll have to use them at a later date. They closed the investigation, so we're not going to find these sticks. Next thing you know, the weekend after that, the following week after we had that game and had the event, they found them in a warehouse in Indiana and shipped them. So it actually worked out. We were still able to get them here and use them, you know, for the final home game of the regular season, which was great, and then get them to the person who bought the sticks. So it was great. But yeah, the Purple Leash Project was super fun for Sarah and I to work on.
That wasn't the only shipping issue that we had, right? We had,
as part of that.
Yeah, we had, I don't know, 1,000 treats from Purina show up.
Yeah, I think it was 600 bags.
Yeah, they were supposed to show up, and they weren't there the day of the game. We scrambled, but then we ended up finding it, and I can't like over exaggerate enough. It was just a massive pallet with 600 bags of bacon strips, and you took probably half of that pallet home with you. So I think you're like stocked up for the rest of the summer at least, right?
I mean, I looked at it, you know, and Purina, like I said, it being such great partners for us to do this with. I mean, they were just so generous in what they had sent, and like, we're going to join us for the game and you know, give out, not only treats to the dogs, but bags of treats to dogs and their humans. So yes, when we found this, like, well, how can we, still put these to use? And we volunteer at shelters and different stuff. So I'm like, well, we'll still make sure that these get used in the right way. So obviously left some to use for promotional stuff with the wild, and we'll use some for different events that we plan to keep doing in the future. So yeah, we're taking care of for a little while. We were laughing as we were kind of moved them from the smaller boxes into bigger boxes, and thought I'd be able to fit them all that we had in like this one tote that we had. And Sarah was like, I was like, no, we can fit them all, and all 3 of them, the totes it took. But
Yeah, there were like 600 bags. I'd say Dakota's got 400 of them. The rest we've got, come check us out over the summer at any community appearance we will have.
Yeah, thank Farina. Yeah, they took care of it well, and like I said, just how generous they were in the partnership to raise awareness for the Purple Leash Project too, that they are constantly working on. So yeah, that was to double down on the shipping with that.
Double down.
Yeah.
If you had to pick, if you had to give us, you think the best strengths of the team from this season, but also the weaknesses, what do you think those were?
I think the work ethic was always there.
Yeah.
I think we worked as hard as any team. I don't think there was ever a doubt in the effort being there. So maybe some of the weakness was just a little bit of inexperience, and there's no way to get experience without getting it. So, at times, obviously, it felt like it was a struggle to score. For whatever reason, here or there, like it was just a grind to get goals. And that certainly makes it hard to play when you give one up and it's going to be an absolute grind to get one. And like I said, it stretches, that stretch we had post-Christmas to All-Star break, that wasn't the case. We could score goals.
Started to heat up, right?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, exactly. We got a little scoring from the defense with single digits, and yeah, no,
Wink,
I think
wink, nudge, nudge.
But
yeah,
career year.
right?
So-
Yeah, we'll take it. It was after Fred and Rose wanted to donate money to the food bank for every point I heated up, which was nice because I could have gone skunked and
Perfect time.
had some.
We're not gonna let anybody down.
Yeah, exactly. I didn't want to do that.
Look at Goldstein stepping right into the box here. He wants
waste
this.
anybody's time?
He wants.
So I'm gonna lose
Yeah,
now.
just get
No,
rid of
no,
the
no,
ball.
no, no. Dial it in. Dial it in. Visualize the ball.
You need the ball.
Yeah.
Ball on the hip.
Look at this. Hang on.
Good
Hey.
news, Joey. You're gonna find that one. Good news.
Not losing one on this one.
Was that the 1970 top flight?
It's not.
Ah, okay, it's too bad.
I might treasure that ball.
Yeah.
All right. So, you guys have Brooks, but now you have a new addition to the family.
Yeah.
How has that been over the last couple weeks now?
Yeah, it's been great. We didn't know whether we were having a boy or a girl kind of going into it. Sarah kind of had me convinced that we were going to have another boy just because her pregnancy was so similar. So it was a cool surprise when she came out, and Tatum's added such a cool just dynamic to our family now, having a boy and a girl. And I didn't realize how much I would enjoy being a girl dad until she was born, and how excited I'd be. Because being a boy dad was all I had known at this point. So it's been awesome. It's been certainly busy, but it feels like we were much more prepared this time, having done it before.
Sure.
For a newborn and everything that brings with that. But Brooks has adjusted well. Awesome. We didn't know, obviously, with him being so young, how curious he'd be or this or that. But he's really done well with her too, which has been fun.
And how have the dogs been with the new addition?
The dogs have been great. They're just status quo. We've thrown so much at them, and they're Kaiser 6 years we've had them, and Charlie 4 with all the moving and everything. I mean, they're just used to about everything at this point. So, yeah, they've adjusted well. Kaiser and Brooks are still playing ball pretty much 20 hours a day, and and Tatum's hanging out, and Charlie's loving hanging out with Tatum. So it's a cool, it's the whole dynamic of our family now. It's pretty fun and pretty humbling, I would say.
Busy craziness during the day when everybody's up.
Yeah, oh yeah, when everyone's up, especially that morning shift until Brooks goes down for his nap, it's there's some chaos, and there's toys everywhere, and there's and then you add into that we're planning a move back home and starting to pack stuff and this and that. It adds a crazy element to everything.
Have you had any of those, like, it's the middle of the night, and you got Tatum in your arms, and you're walking, you're stepping on Charlie and Kaiser's toys, you're stepping on Brooks's toys. Has that happened yet?
No, not yet. Luckily, like at the end of every night, once Brooks gets to bed, we've kind of get in the habit of at our place here. I mean, our living room is the play area, so we get everything kind of put away and organized, so that doesn't happen, because certainly there's times where I'm carrying Brooks up to bed and I don't see the puzzle piece that's on the ground that I step on it, and immediately it just buckles your one leg.
It's not Legos, so Legos hurt to step
Yeah,
on.
I mean, I'm sure the Legos will be here shortly. He'll be into that before long, but yeah, we haven't hit the Legos yet.
What does the summer look like for you now that season's died down? Both kids, family's in full swing. You guys are heading back soon. What do things look like for you during the off season?
Yeah, we'll head back to our. We got a house in St. Louis that we got after my 4th year pro to kind of have a home base. So we'll head back there. It's where my family is, where my wife's family is. All of our families there. So yeah, we'll head back there and welcome Tatum to that home. And I don't know, it's just a lot of staying busy, obviously, with them and getting my training in, around that. Even last summer with Brooks, it just looks different. Like, gone are the days where it's like, yeah, I could be at the gym for sure at 9 o'clock. And so actually I have a weight room at home, which makes it pretty flexible, where I can, kind of plan my day around the nap. So when he goes down for a nap and when Tatum, has some free time, I can jump, just go right downstairs to get my training in. So kind of busy that way.
And when you're doing on ice training and things like that, who do you skate with other pro guys? Who are some of the guys you skate with?
Yeah, we have a decent, kind of guys are always in and out a little bit, but we have a decent pro group. Trent Frederick, who plays for Boston's a regular. Ryan McInnes, who now is over in playing in Germany. And there's some a lot of college guys. The Kachuk brothers are in town here and there. So we had a pretty good group. St. Louis is kind of, certainly from the time I came into the league and from the time I was young, has really grown.
Kind of booming
hockey-wise.
as a
yeah.
hockey
So there's
area.
a lot. There's a good group that we can get together with and have good skates, which is makes it obviously easy for skating in the summer.
As far as Des Moines goes, what are some of your? I don't know if we asked you this the first time around. I don't know if you remember, but what are you and Sarah, you're looking for a night out, just two of you guys. Where are you guys heading out? What are some of the go-to spots to grab a bite to eat, grab drinks, whatever it may be?
Yeah, certainly. It looks different. There's not a lot of nights out for us these days.
So when you get them, you gotta take
yeah,
advantage.
we love. We usually get a Fleming's gift card for Christmas from her parents. So that's a staple out in West Des Moines. We usually are out in the West Des Moines area. Chafee and his girlfriend Courtney watched Brooks for us before Tatum was born, and we went to Centro, had a night at Centro, which was really good. We really have tried to hit up a few, different places when we go out, because we just love kind of catching the local. We've really just enjoyed learning about Des Moines, restaurants, things to do, places to go. So from an eating standpoint, we really try to go to different places. Like I said, when we get the opportunity to do that, which isn't often.
Yeah. Do you have if someone's coming into town, someone from out of town, whether it's family, friends, and you have to go to this place, where do you send them?
We would go to the Iowa Tap Room. We go to the Iowa Tap Room quite a bit, especially on a Sunday if we had an afternoon game, because we could also bring the kids there. So with bringing Brooks there, it was fine if he was making a little bit of noise, because it was that's the environment works there. I love craft beer, so obviously all the taps they have from beers all across Iowa. I love trying different ones.
Have you found one that's has been your favorite so far?
Yeah,
especially there's so many breweries in town. Do you have a favorite?
My favorite brewery in general that I found from Iowa is Toppling Goliath, I believe it's called. And it's a couple hours away.
Well,
so
they do the pseudo Sioux beers.
Yeah,
right?
they do all the Sioux beers.
Yeah.
King Sioux. Have you tried King Sioux?
King Sioux. I was gonna say King
Is
Sioux.
that the one with the T-Rex on the can?
Well, I mean, they all do. But King Sioux is like it's the fine version of the pseudo Sioux. It's a little more expensive. It's like a double dry hop.
Is it like the
Unbelievable.
black
Best beer I ever had.
black and red can?
Yeah.
Red and gold.
Yeah, red and gold.
Best beer I ever had.
I have some of those in my fridge, I think.
That has been my go-to as far as an Iowa beer. I love IPAs. Yeah, that double IPA is great. And just recently, I had picked up one from Toppling Goliath, and I think it was it wasn't one of their regulars because I haven't found it since. I just picked up a single can of it, and I can't even remember. It was such a unique name. I can't remember the name, but it actually topped the King Sue for me. And so now I got my eyes peeled before we go home. I got to get some more of these to bring home with me. But yeah, those tend to be my go-tos. All the whole Sue line. They have a new one called Seismic Sue, which is a triple IPA, and it's almost 10%, but it doesn't drink like it. You know, it
Nap
doesn't,
time.
Yeah, right. And so I love just just having like a nice heavy beer like that, where I'm not crushing 20 Bud Lights or anything like that. Like I just enjoy having a beer with dinner or something like that. So that's been a one that I've really now jumped onto, the old Seismic Sue.
Yeah.
You said you have Chafee and his girlfriend watch Brooks when you guys are out. I don't know if that means he's the best babysitter or he's just nearby. But who would you say is like the best babysitter on the team, and then who would you just not want watching your kids? Because I think, and I feel like every time we ask questions like this, the answer is always the same, and it's like Adam Beckman. He's loud, but I've actually seen Bex interact with the kids, and Bex is great.
I feel like he might be okay.
Yeah. I don't know who so I guess if you could choose, and you can say Chafee, because he's been your guy, but
yeah, his girlfriend Courtney's phenomenal too. So they had had come to us like, hey, if you guys want to, this was before Tatum was born, want to like go out and have some dinner, we'd love to watch Brooks.
You're like, careful, it's a slippery slope. You're gonna be here every night watching Brooks.
Yeah, I was like, what are you doing tomorrow then? Like, free tomorrow? And they were actually like, serious, like, yeah, like anytime. And so so Brooks went over, and Mitch and Courtney played hockey with him, and just did all the things he loves while we went out to dinner. And so yeah, they're definitely the top choice for us. Brooks had a great time. I don't even think he knew we were gone. So that's what you dream about as a parent, that you can leave, and then Brooks didn't even know we left. Yeah. So they were great. And yeah, I think a lot of people would be like, oh, no way you'd let Beckman watch your kid. And maybe I don't know if I would leave him alone, but Beckman can certainly come over and play with the kids anytime. He's gonna get mad at me for saying that, I think. But he was actually, when we had our Christmas party right after Brooks was born. And we talk about this all the time, actually, because Beckman was dressed up as Santa for the Christmas party. And Brooks was 6 days old at the time. So, I mean, and these newborns are just so small and so fragile, and just like their heads have no control. And I remember everyone was kind of like, oh, as we like handed, and even I was like, okay, am I going to let Bex hold, let Santa hold Santa hold Brooks? And right away he like supported Brooks' head, and like, I was like, no way. I was stunned. He's actually, he's great with kids.
Some parenting instincts there from
right away. And I'm
Beckman,
thinking, I wonder if he's like interacting, because he truly like held Brooks' head, and like, I mean, he really surprised me at that. I was actually quite impressed with.
I was kind of hoping for like the head went back. I was hoping for a little bit better. Yeah. Oh no.
Yeah, no. He actually, I think everyone was thinking that, like, no, don't do it. And then
good to go.
Yeah, he did great. Does great with kids. No way I'd let Turner Ottenbright watch Brooks or Tatum, I don't think. And I think he would rebuttal that. And actually, I think he did babysit Miriam one time. Or no, it wasn't Miriam. I think it was Navy Gervais last year. But I think what he actually was doing as he was babysitting was hanging out on the couch while Navy was sleeping. I think that was his version.
That's the best part about babysitting like infants, is you're just kind of sleeping.
Yeah, let them snooze. Chill. So I'm going to say him just because I want to give him a hard time. That I wouldn't let him do that.
I'm not getting hired as babysitter anytime soon.
That reminds me, I remember about mid-season, it dawned on me the relationship you guys had, and spent a decent amount of time as partners, especially during that stretch of wins too.
Yeah.
You guys were kind of like an old married couple this year. Like, you'd be coming out of the hot tub and he'd be griping at you, and he'd be going into the cold tub and you'd be asking him how warm he's got it because he's too soft to go into the cold.
Yeah.
Like, that was a fun relationship to watch play out. It had to be fun to be a part of.
It was, yeah. I really like Audie, and we played together almost the entire season last year.
Yeah.
Certainly garnered some chemistry, and he's a guy that I don't think gets enough credit for how well he plays and what he does, because he plays just kind of that hard role that doesn't get a lot of credit. But yeah, we had a ton of fun. He's kind of a comical guy, just naturally.
Loud. He's loud.
Yeah, he's loud, but just his
purposely loud too. Bex isn't purposely loud sometimes. I think
right.
Turner is on purpose very loud.
He is purposely loud, yeah, and he's honestly he's so funny to be around just because of naturally how he is, with times when he's grumpy and this and that. Like, he's just so much fun to give, to. And and vice versa. He's fun to take it
Yeah.
from too. You know, yeah, we have a good time giving it to each other, but obviously from a sense of just a mutual respect of kind of what we could do as a pair together, and then you know, what each of us individually could do, you know, on the ice together. So it was a lot of fun getting to know him, and he's someone I certainly you know, have a lot of respect for as a player and as a person.
Ottenbright aside, is there a most side-splittingly funny moment from the year, whether it's on the ice or off the ice in the locker room? When I say that, what kind of moments come to mind for you where just something happened? Because every team has them, right? Especially a group that was as tight as this group was. Like, what comes to mind as some of just the most comical moments that the Iowa Wild had this season?
Yeah, some of them probably aren't good for a podcast.
Yeah,
like
probably
this
not.
One.
Yeah.
But you know, of course, in the American League, I mean, just with travel issues, which you
Oh,
can
here we
relate
go.
to.
Travel,
Our travel guys
just,
can
just
never
travel guy,
make
just
it
like
right.
this, right under the bus, throw him right under the.
Get him under there. I mean, just delays, and we got flat tires, and all this stuff.
All
No,
the
I mean,
things that are in Ben's control.
yeah, all the
Yeah,
stuff
yeah,
that
yeah,
could be
yeah,
avoided. You know, when I think about just like when we were trying to fly to Texas that first time, and we get on the plane, and we're already there at, you know, 5 in the morning, and we get on that plane at 6, and we just sat on the plane for 4 hours.
4 hours.
And just kind of the comedy that comes within that of just being on the plane, and people are hungry, and you can't use the lavatories because there's no water.
And the joke was that Mickles ruined, Mikey Milne ruined the lavatory. That was the joke there.
That was
Yep.
the golden joke
Yep.
there, which is hilarious to think back on. And and so just moments like that in the moment you don't appreciate just kind of how funny that is, because you're going through and you're sitting on an airplane for 4 hours, but just kind of the natural humor that comes from within that when you're doing it with 25 other guys plus staff. It's like, you know, those are stories that you're like, well, add that chapter to the book, and, you know,
Yeah.
the chapter book just gets deeper and deeper. Like people that maybe didn't spend enough time in the American League that, you know, put right to the NHL can't look back and laugh on, that we certainly have to at the end of the year. I mean,
very
there's
happy.
actually a great picture of Ben at one point, and I don't know who has it. It's not on my phone. But
Joe
looking
Hickens took
back,
it.
Yeah,
Joe
I have
Hickens.
that. Yeah.
Yeah, he has
Where's
2
my phone? I'll
phones.
show you the picture.
Yeah,
I have
you got to
it
get that picture, and that's got to make the podcast.
Yeah,
'cause
we'll edit
this
that
was
into the
like,
pod.
you know, we're all giving it to Ben about this delay, and poor guy's just trying to figure out how he can get to Texas, and, you know, he's got his phone in one hand, someone else's phone in the other
Dan
hand.
Barker, our trainer.
Dan, okay,
Dan
so it's
Barker's
Dan's,
phone.
and
Yeah.
you know, he's working the lines. I mean, like, just truly the life of team services in the American Hockey League, just figuring out how to make it work, and certainly just steaming, I'm sure, on the inside,
Yeah.
having to deal with this not only for your own travel but for 30 other people. And there
I was
no
on
other-
hold because I had to make sure the bus company knew that we were going to be late, and
Right.
that we weren't going to be able to fly out into Austin anymore. So that bus driver, Harvey had to drive
Yeah.
up from Austin to Dallas 3 hours to get us, because we weren't going to make it in time for any of the connecting
For any
flights
of
at
them.
night.
Which,
Yeah.
I mean, just what a, it's fun to look back and laugh at all the stuff that happened within that, but
You can laugh now on
Yeah.
Copper Creek Golf Course. In the moment, I was laughing in that photo, because at some point you get to a point of exhaustion and strain where you just say,
you just have
I
to.
have to laugh now,
We
or I
have
am
to.
going to get up and do something stupid. So
We're trying to, find whatever cracker we can in the place, because we're all starving, 'cause it's lunchtime.
that was
by
the
now.
other part when I was handing out pretzels. Remember that? Because they weren't serving pretzels anymore, and I went back and I was like, because Kaiser's like, get the guys some food, and I'm like, okay. So I go back and I have pretzels, and I'm walking up and down the aisles giving our players pretzels, and just like normal patrons of American Airlines are just like opening their hands out and just like, can I get a pretzel? I'm like, no, you're not getting a
Nope.
pretzel. Like,
Nope,
I'm not a flight attendant. I'm handing out pretzels to our team.
Oh, and we're eating them like, you know, they're the last pretzels on earth, because we're starving. Thought we'd be in Dallas to get some lunch, you know, just because of Turner Ottenbright and the way he is and his humor and everything. I believe Alec changed our team picture. It could have been anyone. I don't know who it was. Could have been anyone. But changed our team picture and edited everyone's face, every player's face, and one staff member's body to all have Turner Ottenbright's face on it. So this picture was just 25 Turner Ottenbrights scattered throughout the entire team picture, and it's honestly,
And it's a hard
gold.
copy, because it was left
Yeah.
in our locker room.
That's what I said. I said
Yeah.
to you, I'm like, and the best part of that is I'm pretty sure, because it was a picture of the picture. And so we looked at that further. I'm like, yeah, that's hard. That's been printed.
Yeah,
like
that
a hard
wasn't like
copy.
just digital file. That was a hard
that's
copy.
been printed, and
Yeah.
it actually went up in the training room for the rest of the year, and it was a good laugh every single time, because also Turner was a regular on the training table. He would just lounge on the training table, so it's perfect. So this big picture of him was right above him, which was great.
Not injured, just in the training room.
Just in the training
Yeah.
room, yeah.
Jeez. This is a clinic.
This is why I never get rid of the Nikes.
This is a clinic.
I change
This
the
is
driver and I'm like, I just go back to it. Because why?
Is this one of those scenarios where if like we're gonna get to the back nine and then we're just gonna play and all of a sudden it's gonna come on? Do you show up with the cameras?
Apparently, yeah.
Because most people are the opposite. When the cameras show up, it all comes apart.
Yeah, there must be something to that because because like I said, even with the food bank point match, I mean, I went on my best streak.
You got a career year
So
this year.
I guess maybe the pressure, is actually good for me.
You had a career year this year with the point match.
Yeah, with the point match. Yeah, which was great because when they brought me, I'm like, of course I wouldn't be a part of that, but I got to make sure that I don't get skunked here, and that I don't leave the season with no points. But so I don't know. I guess it's working for now.
Lights,
I mean,
camera,
certainly
action,
I'm
Dakota
due
Mermis.
to explode at any point. I think just the way we're chatting too, I'm staying relaxed. I'm not
you're
thinking
loose.
about
You're
golfing
loose.
too much.
You're
Yeah.
loose.
That was a shot.
Yeah, I'll give me a chance.
That was a shot. I don't think you could have hit that any better.
Nope, I don't think I could either. Boy, you haven't played with me that long, and you already know what my best shot looks like. That doesn't say a
You
lot.
confirmed it, so.
Oh, you're bang on.
Yeah, you're spot on. That was about perfect.
Doesn't get any better than that shot. Got to be enough though. Yep.
Oh.
Yep. I needed about another. I needed about 5 yards in.
Yeah.
I didn't have
When
it.
that came off, though, I thought that was.
Well, that's the thing.
right.
Well, I hit it well.
Yeah.
But that was my concern. I just didn't know if I had the jam to get this club there, and I didn't.
Good man. Pairing the grass.
Well, the camera's on me. Of course, I
Yeah.
got to do it.
I'm questioning if I've been doing that.
I do it when the camera's not here too. Come on. Told you they grease those lips. Thought that was going in. There we
Nice,
go.
Joey.
Yeah, correct. Someone's got to hit it. That'd be mine, thank you. Well, reaching the end of our round here. First and foremost, tips on the golf game. Clearly, as we talked about, Mr. I want to walk up to the tee. I haven't played. I got kids at home. I think you're even. I think you're even.
Yeah, this may be.
Granted, we played 9 holes, but you're even.
Yeah, through. Like I said, we're not quite through 9, but. This has been the round of my life so far. So I think if we just bring cameras around,
I think he's full of it.
I do too.
That's a fact.
no.
You
You don't
I've
just
never played even golf, so it's been good. Been really good. How's yours been, Joey? You been good?
Well,
Cameras
it's
don't lie.
the cameras don't lie. I'm not gonna lie. It has not been good. It has not been good. I've lost a lot of golf balls as expected.
What is the count?
2 in 1 hole. Actually, I've only lost since those first 3. I haven't lost another one. But I did lose 2 in 1 hole, which I was not proud of. I don't know. You've watched a lot of my golf games, right? Any advice?
You just got to hit the ball straight and long.
Okay. Well.
All the things you didn't do.
Yeah, I'll work on that.
Yeah.
I wanted to ask you, we talked about it in our intro to this podcast. I had not been a part of an American Hockey League playoff game previously. Joey had. For me, that's going to be one thing from this season, even though the ending was not the ending you wanted, but you're one shot away from going to a pivotal Game 3. Right. But that atmosphere that night, and especially in the American League where you don't get a lot of time to promote it, it was such a home run by the marketing staff and the game ops staff and the whole front office staff. And Joey told a great story. The build-up coming out. There was energy that you guys sensed in the locker room right away, wasn't there? Walk us through that night from an experience standpoint, from the locker room perspective.
It was great. I mean, the playoff atmosphere, you feel it in the locker room, you feel it as soon as you clinch, and the way that we did it right at the end, you give the ticket sales and the marketing team a lot of credit because they didn't have a lot of time to sell tickets. And you give our fans a lot of credit for, realizing that, they had to buy these tickets in such a short amount of time that we were going to be playing. And you could feel it. It was great that we got the home ice and we got to come home for a Friday game. And they packed the place. It was electric. You could see how proud the people were to be there, to be watching playoff hockey. certainly we felt very proud to do that for Des Moines, do that for those people that come to the games and support us so much. So that atmosphere, that electric feel, obviously you hate the way it ended in overtime. You would have liked to hear that place erupt in overtime and get to a third game. So, but it was so fun. I mean, you just appreciate so much about being a player when the fans support you that way, and that we got to at least give them a taste of what hopefully they get to see a lot more of in the future.
That was the team side individually. Not only you wear a C, which you've done before, and an interesting C for you, where Mason Shaw was the captain. You were an alternate captain, and then you get named during the season after Mason gets his call up full time to Minnesota. But point-wise too, you joked earlier on the course about during that great stretch run, 14 straight points. You had quite a nice point streak going on during that. Was quite 14 games, but you had a nice point streak going too. For you, that career year offensively, can you put together an equation? What went into the cauldron to boil up such a great year individually for you?
I think just confidence. I mean, that's what you rely on in sports so much, or anything you're doing, is just being confident in what you're doing. I was able to kind of, being my third year in the organization, second year in Iowa, you just get more and more comfortable. You know the guys, you had the same staff from the previous year. You just feel, I just felt that confidence, and certainly when you're the leader and things start going well, you just hope to grow on that. So I say it all the time. It's kind of funny, I'm 29, and at some point in the American League that starts to get old, 29, which is crazy, but I don't feel like I've hit my my peak by any means. I still feel like I'm getting better, and having those milestones in my career, certainly maybe even think even more that I even have more to give next season. So it was great. Obviously, it's great to have individual success, and that certainly comes from a lot of team success too, and then being surrounded by good players. So, it was a fun year as the captain, for me.
I got one final question. You got anything?
Yeah, I want to jump in real quick on the captain piece. It's something we haven't really talked a ton about because obviously it happened right in the middle of the year.
Yeah.
And last time we talked to you on the podcast was over the summer, coming into the season. So, what was it like for you? Obviously, you've worn a C before. You've worn a letter here leading up to this point. But, hearing that you were named captain of the team, what was that like for you? Kind of what was that? How did that all go down, basically?
Yeah, I mean, obviously, we're kind of leading on to the uniqueness of it, in that, Shawzy was named captain to start the year, and, shortly thereafter, I think we maybe only got 2 games out of him. He got recalled, and then shortly thereafter that, we found out we wouldn't get him back. And so you didn't kind of know how that would play out. Would they, elevate a letter, add a C, do anything like that? And, certainly wasn't something that was on my radar as we approached Christmas. And then, you kind of see how the season was going leading into Christmas. I think we had lost 5 in a row. So we were kind of skidding a little bit. And you try to fill that void as much as you can. And then we come back from Christmas and, kind of just got called into the office, and they said, we're going to elevate your role to captain. And like I said, that's something I take a lot of pride in. I think it's extremely important. It's something that I have always taken a lot of pride in. And to push not only the team forward, but myself, you're always trying to expand your role, and that definitely did that for me. So it was a huge honor, and then trying to right the ship, and then, post-Christmas, like I said, it was a great stretch for us to All-Star break, which really was pivotal in us being able to make the playoffs, was snapping that kind of losing streak we had been on and going on such a run in the middle of the season. So, yeah, it was a huge honor. It was great. I mean, it's great, that people think of you in that way. I think, I can do a pretty good job of pushing other guys into leadership positions and getting them to come along with you, and I think that really helps a team. And so, it was fun.
Look out!
Oh my God! Yo!
Wow.
Oh man,
Jeez.
I'm so glad we get that,
Whoa.
Marquise. Oh yes.
Look at this guy.
Look at this guy. Oh my
Oh
gosh.
my
Oh,
God.
this is so great.
How kind of birds are these? Birds. Yeah, so no, I don't know. It was great.
yeah.
It was fun, and certainly I, loved having that aspect wearing the C here.
Did it change the way you approached anything? I feel like for you, it really it was just business as usual for you to going from wearing an A to a C. Does that change your mentality at all, or is it's just another day, a different letter? I'm gonna just keep doing the same thing I have been doing leading up to this.
Yeah, a lot of doing the same thing. I think with Shawzy gone, I mean, all of us had to step up in different ways to have a strong leadership presence, and so it was just kind of business as usual. Certainly, like I said, making sure guys are comfortable, knowing that I can go talk to staff or I can do this for them, that I can help them in their careers too and help them personally and help the team, I think is the most important part of that. But business as usual, and just being a guy that can be trusted.
To put a lid on this, Dakota, you're coming up now a decade of playing pro hockey.
Yeah.
You're knocking on the door of it now. And sometimes guys, and I'm not alluding to anybody on our team, we had such a great group this year, great group, but
Yeah.
there is such thing as the crusty old pro.
Yeah.
You've played some NHL games, but you're still working to get back to that point.
Yeah.
Yet you have such an attitude of gratitude, everything you do. And we talk about the experience that we had on the plane, and you were the first guy to be razzing me, but then at the same time kind of grab me and say, "Ben, it's all good. Like, don't worry." Like you have that attitude. Where does that come from?
I don't know. I think part of it's just the way I grew up. Part of it is just kind of mentality I've grown. That it's easy to complain, and certainly there's times where you like to joke and complain, but at the end of the day, you can make it whatever work. Just being able to be adaptable, I think, is so important, not only in hockey, but just in life. I mean, our life right now we're every single day, with 2 young kids, it's like we're adapting constantly to schedule, to this or that. And I just think, doing things the right way, and when I say the right way, it's lending a hand, it's being understanding of situations, and seeing how you can be of help, not of to hurt of a situation. And like I said, I think that's contagious too, when people see other people, especially if they're in leadership positions, doing things that maybe they could relegate to someone else. I think it builds a culture of I can do this, I can do more, I can help in 100 different ways. So I think that's important, like I said, not only for sport, but just in life in general. It's something that I've tried to carry with me in all aspects.
This has been a blast today. We got good weather. We got some great golf out of you. We got some average golf out of me. We got, golf out of Joey. I don't know if we're going to put an adjective before it.
Golf.
To wrap this, I think I speak for Joey, for the front office, for the coaches, for teammates, for everybody in the Iowa Wild organization, myself included. You've endeared yourself to so many here. Thank you. Thank you for being who you are, and not only the player you are. As Joey will tell you all the time, I'm the first to get excited when your trigger's about to get pulled and your fuse is about to get lit. I love it. I love it. No, we haven't. But just the player you are and the person you are, a big thank you for wearing the C and for being who you are. It's been a pleasure.
Thank you. I've enjoyed every moment of being in Des Moines, playing for the Iowa Wild, and it's a place that's obviously become a second home with our growing our family here, and what a special place, and the staff and players and everyone, is to thank for that as well for my end too. So we can't thank it. And this was a lot nicer than you're asking me to do the interview at the I-80. I enjoy coming out to golf with you guys a lot more than when I'm half asleep at the I-80 trying to explain what it's all about. Yeah, exactly. So this is great. Can't thank you guys enough.
Always a pleasure. What a human being Dakota Mermis is. What a human being his wife, Sarah Mermis, is. I know she's on your favorites list because you were texting her so much this season about all the different things her and Dakota were doing throughout the community. And their 2 now children as well.
Yep.
Had Brooksy along as well, but now Taylor has been welcomed into the fold. Tatum?
Tatum.
I thought it was Taylor.
Tatum.
I never actually got like an alert on it. I heard him say, I thought it was Taylor the other day when he was down here doing rehab. It's Tatum. See, I knew you'd know. Yep. Tatum. So Tatum and Brooks welcoming into the Iowa Wild family as well. But and a big thank you to Copper Creek Golf Course as well for having us out, and to Marquise and Alec for being our cameramen out there. We managed to not hit them with any golf balls, so that was good.
Always a win.
Mainly Alec, who we threw down the fairway.
He was worried about it.
He was
worried about it.
He was worried
How
about
am I going to shoot
when
this
I initially
and not
emailed
get
that
hit?
out, I'm like, we're going to put Alec down the fairway to get the golf balls flying in, and he was instantly concerned, understandably so. But, we were somewhat accurate.
Yeah.
Or at least accurate enough to not hit him.
Yeah. It was fun, and I mean, Dakota's great. He was once again, our team nominee for Man of the Year, and I will stand by him. I'd be hard-pressed to believe that anybody in the league did as much as he did with the scope that he did, despite him not winning the award. I'm probably biased, think that he should have won again, but it's that's not why he does things. He does things because it's the right thing to do, and he's just a genuinely caring kind of person. So him and Sarah, like, as much as he's involved in things, there's so much that Sarah does as well to kind of help facilitate that. So, I can only hope that he, him and his agents, they work through things, they get re-signed. I hope that he comes back, because he is the kind of leader, especially with all these young guys who are going to have coming in on the back end. He is the kind of guy who you want showing them the right way to be a professional. I would want that person in my organization if I were making those decisions. And there are people much smarter than me making those decisions. So I would imagine.
Really? Are they?
Not a smart guy.
We've established that.
I would imagine that there are probably similar conversations happening, and hopefully it's something that gets taken care of, because I know they love it here. And,
they do.
They really enjoy being here. It's close to home, but I think they've really established themselves here, and the fans love them too. So, that was a lot of fun.
One of the greatest compliments I've heard given to Dakota, and he wasn't around to hear it, but Richard Shaky Krause, our equipment manager, who will be a guest this summer. I know people have asked for him, including himself. He's asked to be on the show many times.
One time he asked through Crash's Twitter. It was weird, but he did ask. Yeah.
But he and I always go to the airport early to make sure he takes care of the bags. I make sure that all of our names are accounted for and tickets are where they should be. And sometimes you get done early and you're just sitting there waiting for the players. Other times you're scrambling to make sure it's all done. Our last trip to Texas, we had some time. American Airlines was nice and ready for us, so we got all of our stuff done. And I was sitting there just kind of, shooting it with them, shooting the breeze. And I asked him, I said, where does Dakota Mermis fall? And Shaky's been around hockey, as we all have, but he's been around pro hockey, I think, since his teenage years. I'm pretty sure he started, and we'll learn more about this, when he was working in Long Island, just helping out with the Islanders, and has had a lengthy career, has been around so many pros. I said, where does Dakota fall as far as human beings and people in your long tenure of being around pro sports? And he put him on his Mount Rushmore. And Shaky has seen hundreds and hundreds, if not thousands, of different players. And yet Merms is right there in the top four. So, and he deserves it. And I sit here thinking, if I can be lucky enough to have a career that's as long as Shaky's has been, I don't know if I'll find it. I don't know if I'm going to find many better than Dakota. I really don't. And I mean that sincerely.
I'm right there with you. I don't know if there's anybody. I've obviously haven't been around as long as Shaky has.
Yeah.
I've been in sports for 10 years, and I've been fortunate to work with a lot of great athletes, but there are certain people that stand out, and people who you get to know outside the rink. It's not just a working relationship. Like, I consider Dakota and Sarah friends of mine, and they will be friends for a very long time. There's certain people like that throughout who I could think of and probably rattle off pretty quickly, but he would be on my Mount Rushmore. He's probably always going to be in that category, just because of all the work that he does, and how much he wants to be involved. Everybody wants to do things in the community, but some guys have just different elements of wanting to do more. That's great. So,
first guest of the offseason, Dakota Mermis. We have plenty more plans to bring in some player guests. We're going to have our new head coach on here at some point once we figure out who that is. I definitely want to have Mike Murray back on again. Maybe we won't take as much of a deep dive down his path. Maybe talk a little more Iowa Wild-centric. Not that we didn't last season, but since we've covered a lot of the bases of the history of Mike Murray and how he got to where he got to,
we're hoping to talk to him
more Iowa Wild-focused.
Yeah, hoping to talk to him as we get more into that, maybe a little after free agency kicks off. So
let's talk about some of the new players a little bit.
Why are you bringing certain people? Where do you see them fitting? All that kind of stuff.
And then we have a few surprises too. We've got a few tricks up our sleeve, some different perspectives that we think our fans will really enjoy. At very least, you and I will really enjoy getting these different perspectives. So looking forward to a great summer of podcasting, more podcasts than we were able to kick out during the season, which is great. And also lots of events this summer for our fans to get involved in too. And that's another thing that I just think you talk about Sophie McGovern upstairs, who is on the forefront of helping out with the community stuff. Joe Picardi as well, helping out on the community side, and plenty more. That's something that our front office staff just does so well. It's so much more than just coming to hockey games to be a Wild 365 member, to be a Wild fan. There's so much more to do than just coming out and watching Sammy Walker score a goal, watching Marco Rosti score. It truly is such a family environment. So what can fans look forward to this summer to try to get their Wild fix while obviously all the players and staff and such are away?
Yeah, there's plenty. Like we said, there's no shortage. The best thing to do to see where we're going to be and what's upcoming is visit the website, check out our community calendar that gets updated throughout the summer. Basically, as events get added, we get a lot of stuff on there now. It's hard to truly pinpoint like what's going to be upcoming because events get added and whatnot. But we know some of the big ones, like we will be at Pride Fest in June. We will be at the State Fair again. Ben and I will be there. We'll be doing some fun stuff again.
Got some good ideas for that.
Already brainstorming ideas for that. There's some summer events. I know the season ticket holders. There's a Cubs game that they're going to. There's a Barnstormers game that they're going to. We're working on hopefully being able to do a summer block party. It's been a while since we've done that.
Awesome.
So a lot of fun and exciting things are going to be happening in the midst of all of us doing some planning behind the scenes and getting things ready for the coming season because the golf tournament's going to be coming back and we'll have our bowling event again and all those kind of in-season events that everybody's used to participating in. Just because those are months and months away doesn't mean we haven't started talking about those and getting those set. So there are a lot of things to be excited for. And we're going to be everywhere. Crash is going to be out constantly. So if you see Crash, if you see our promo crew out there, if you see our staff out there, snap a picture, share it on social, let us know. We're going to share that stuff. And just come say hi, come talk hockey with us. It's the summer. That's what we're looking to do. Yeah. So come chat with us. Grab a sticker, grab a tattoo, grab a keychain, whatever it may be, and come hang out. It's going to be fun. Farmers markets at some point, too. We'll get down to the farmers markets.
I love the
I'm hoping to get there this weekend, but it's going to be great.
Let's put a wrap on this. To me, this feels like the official let's close the book on the 10th anniversary season to me, at least from a content media standpoint, at least in my chair. Do your best, a synopsis of the year in a couple sentences, 3-4 sentences, a paragraph, if you will. What will be your lasting impression of what was the 10th anniversary season of the Iowa Wild? And it doesn't just have to be on the ice either.
Yeah. You really put me on the spot.
That's what I do.
I appreciate it.
I like to put people on the hot seat, Joey. Since I don't have any players around to do it to anymore, you're the guy I'm going to put on the hot seat. All summer long.
Yeah,
here we go.
Yeah, well, I don't know if it's the hot seat. I feel pretty cool in this one. But I think when I think back on the 10th anniversary season, I see it as a success. And like you said, it's not always just about the stuff that happens on the ice. Like, we did a lot of good, across the street, upstairs, whatever you want to call it, on the, within the office and on the business side of things. There's just a lot to be proud of. There's a lot of growth, especially, I can really speak for the marketing department. There was a ton of growth within our group. Everybody did just a phenomenal job this year from top to bottom. And I think we did a good job making this, a place where people feel like they have to be when games are happening, not a place like, oh yeah, we could go there. Like, no, we have to go to the game. We have to be there. It's a can't miss moment. Like, we want to be the place to be on a Friday night, on a Saturday night, on a Wednesday night, whatever it is. We want there to be no other choice in town for where people are trying to spend their time. And I think too, we've taken a step too in terms of, this market, in terms of the sports teams in the market. I think I feel like we are the premier team in this area, the premier sports team in really Iowa. We are Iowa's pro sports team, and that's how I feel. So, like, I think it's just continuing to grow and expand on that as we push along here in year 11, 12, 13, however long that run lasts. I'm excited to see where this foundation that we've laid here in my last 2 years that we've kind of started to lay out after the pandemic, where this starts to take off.
Yeah, that's a great way to put it. It's the launching pad to a new pro era. I think what happened during COVID, strictly speaking on just the business pro side, not the life health side, that was devastating. But the pro landscape, everything had to get reinvented a little bit, and it changed the way everything works here now. Mm-hmm. And so those were years 7 into 8 for the Iowa Wild. 9 was a little bit half COVID laden, half not a little bit, because it kind of reared its head again December, January, and then last year we were very blessed to really sort of get back to normalcy a little bit. But it's a new normal, and I know that's a word and a phrase a lot of people use.
But it is. It feels like we're on the other side of things.
Yeah,
and it felt like, I did not work I worked during the COVID shortened season. I did not work during the COVID seasons that we had, right? So like I only know the before and the after. I don't know the during. This season felt like the before. It felt like we're back to what it used to be.
But with new nuance, with new twists.
Oh, there are
with,
new
yes,
things,
yeah.
absolutely, and there's things that we're always going to have to live by going forward, but it felt the most like a normal season that it had been, prior. Like it feels like, we're back, where it's normal and we're ready to go again.
Yeah. For me, the word that I think about in every facet, on the ice, off the ice, within the hockey ops sphere, around the front office staff, and my job is such an interesting one where I have tentacles everywhere in a lot of different spaces, but joy is the word that keeps coming to mind for me. How much joy was had this season watching Sammy Walker, watching Marco Rossi, watching Damon Hunt, watching Jesper Wallstedt, on and on and on. So many great performances. Nick Patan, you deeming him the wizard about halfway through the season on this podcast, which was so great.
That one stuck.
It sure did, and understandably so with the magic that guy weaves on a nightly basis. He's back again next year, which people watching on YouTube probably saw my eyebrows kind of light up there because that's fun to have him back, and a host of other big names are back. Stephen Fogarty's back.
And Nick Patan Wizard bobblehead would be kind of cool, right?
Wow. Ooh. Did you just come up with that right on the spot, or have you thought about it?
No, I've had that idea kind of stored. It's one of the many ideas we have in the hopper for things for next year, but that is one of them.
Wow.
Who knows?
First time hearing of this.
Who knows if it makes final cut or ends up on the cutting room floor? But yeah. We're gonna have a lot of fun next year. I'm looking forward to
it. And just to continue the joy theme, the hockey ops staff, it'll look a lot different next year than it did this year. But it was a cohesive group. It was a tight group. And what's exciting about that is, like I said when we were talking about, the dismissal of Tim Army and his staff from this past season, is that was a good culture still. It wasn't because the culture wasn't good down here. That that didn't play a factor in it. So whatever's going to come next, I think, could only be a step past that. So for someone who works so heavily in that space, I can't wait to see what that means for the new culture that will come in here, the building of the culture that was built by Tim and his various assistant coaches during his 5 years here. And then upstairs, I mean, how many people this season lives touched by the staff, by your staff, by the staff upstairs, by the game ops crew, by coming out here to watch the Wild play, to be a part of it, to meet the players, to go to the events, just smiles and laughing and joy, and who doesn't need that? Who doesn't need that? So, and that's what this team has been doing for 10 seasons, and that's the plan for 10 more, 20 more, 30 more. That's the plan. So. That would be the word that I would use to kind of wrap the 10th anniversary season, and who knows, I may use that every season moving forward. But I guess that's a good goal to have moving the rest of the way in the entertainment business, is obviously bringing joy. So with that, final thoughts before we officially wrap up our first off-season episode, the first of many, and we're looking forward to every single one this summer.
Yeah. Final thoughts. I mean, we kind of put a bow on it pretty good. I think my final stuff is just as it relates to like this and this podcast, what we're doing. Like, as always, if you're watching, if you're listening, one, thank you. But if you have ideas, if there are things you want to see, if people you want to hear from, let us know. Tweet at either of us. Tweet at the Wild. Just put a comment somewhere. Like, let us know.
Tweet at Crash like Shaky did.
Yeah, that got him on the podcast, right? So it's we want to bring you guys what you want to hear. It's not about what me and Ben want to talk about or who we think would, be most interesting. Like, we want to bring people what they want to hear. So let us know. We'll be making bets again throughout the summer.
Yeah.
So let us know.
I'm looking forward to a better summer of betting, by the way, too.
Yeah, well,
I had a terrible first season in the betting line.
Give us your ideas. Give us your punishments.
I'm going to be better this summer. I'm going to be better this summer.
The only one we know right now for a punishment is probably going to will fall along the lines of something at the state fair with our content. We don't know exactly what that's going to be, but we don't know what we're betting on for that yet. So yeah, I don't know, TBD. But if you got ideas, let us know. We are all ears, and this podcast is about you guys, so we want what you want. So let us know.
Thanks to Jeremy Core as well for continuing back with us to help out and help get this podcast
He's
out.
gonna love it. He's gonna be like, oh, I didn't. It's been a while since I heard from you guys.
Yeah, exactly.
He's gonna love to get an
Executive
email from us.
Podcast Solutions. He's a big factor in why you're able to listen to this. Also to Marquise Jones for editing and doing our filming. He's sitting right over there right now behind the camera.
He waved.
Yeah, he did wave. Joey, of course, thank you to you and to our fans for tuning in as well. This has been episode 18. Oh, I shouldn't forget about Dakota for being on as well. Big thanks to Dakota.
Yeah.
Too. We thanked him earlier.
Since
but,
you butchered his daughter's name
yeah,
too.
and his new daughter Taylor.
Tough.
Yeah. I'm gonna hear about that one. You can bet that.
Yep.
There's a bet I lost already. Yeah. And anyway, a big thank you to everybody for tuning in, for jumping on board. This has been episode 18 of Ridin the Bus, the official Iowa Wild podcast. And as always, 2 honks for the win.